Who am I here with?
Michael.
Michael. Okay, Michael. And that's spelled Michael.
Yeah.
Okay, Michael. And how old are you, Michael?
39.
39. Okay. So Michael, what's your current situation, man?
Living on Section 8 and dealing drugs in order to get by.
Gotcha. And how long that been going on?
About 5 or 6 years, maybe. Well, about 5 years.
5 years. Okay.
I mean, I've been doing it basically my whole life. I've either been homeless or on Section 8 or homeless again or dealing drugs or not dealing drugs. Like, it's been my entire life.
Gotcha. Your entire life. So when you say entire life, like, how young and stuff since you were doing this?
I mean, since I was like 17.
17, man. Damn. And where are you from?
I'm from here.
Okay.
I mean, I spent a lot of time out east in Ohio and Pennsylvania, but the second half of my life, I've been out here.
Gotcha, man. Damn. So you're dealing and stuff. The struggle. Why though? Why you choose this path?
I mean, it's hard to find a good job. I mean, I got a record and I've tried doing other things. Like I tried going in the Army, but they told me because of my record that they wouldn't take me. And because I didn't have a high school diploma, I only have a GED. And then like I tried some other jobs and they're really hard to get. I mean, everybody wants experience, but how the hell are you supposed to get experience if you can't get a job?
Preach.
So, I mean, the only thing I know how to do is just slang drugs. So that's what I do.
Gotcha, man.
It makes me enough money to get by every day.
Gotcha, man. Speaking of record, like, you want to touch on that subject and stuff? What'd you get locked up for?
A long time ago, whenever I was still just barely 18, a buddy of mine came up to me and said he was pissed off. He didn't want to drive his car. Hey, can you drive my car? If I drive it right now, I'm going to drive it off the road. I said, yeah, sure. And I'm sick, got a cold or whatever, so I'm not really paying attention to too much. I get in the car. He's telling me where to go because I don't know how to get there. We pull outside of this pizza place, and then he goes inside, and then he comes back out. He's all calm and everything, gets in the car and says, all right, let's go. So I said, all right, flip the car on, and I'm driving down the road, and he's saying turn left, turn right. All of a sudden, I see the red, white, and blue in my mirror, the red and blue, in my mirror, and he goes, oh shit. And I'm like, I look over at him, I realize he ain't got no pizza at this point. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I was like, is there a reason they're pulling us over? And he goes, oh, it's probably just because my taillight's out. That's all. Just don't worry about it. Just pull over. It'll be fine. I pull over. Next thing I know, I've got a gun pointed at my face. There are 4 cop cars. There's like 8 cops. And all of them have their guns out. And they're telling me, put my hands up, do this, do that, throw the keys out, get out the car, get on the ground. Because he had just fucking robbed the pizza store.
Damn.
Now, instead of being a good person and saying, hey, yeah, he didn't know anything about this, yada, 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 they came at him and said, well, he's trying to say that he doesn't know anything about this. So I tell you what, if you testify that he did know something about this, we'll give you a better deal and we'll drop your gun charge on you. You won't have to take the gun charge and you'll only do like maybe 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, he took the deal and said that I knew something about it.
So I
basically
snitched on you?
I had to plead guilty to conspiracy to commit terroristic threats is what my public defender got me for.
Uh-huh.
Now, that does not sound good, does it?
No, it does
not. Now,
not.
imagine trying to get a job with that or trying to get in the Army with that.
Yeah.
All it meant was that I said something like hurtful about another person, like not hurtful as in their feelings, but like wanted to physically harm somebody. That's a terroristic threat. I want to go over and I want to beat the shit out of somebody. That's a terroristic threat.
Uh-huh.
But whenever people hear it, especially after 9/11 and all that shit, they're sitting there thinking I'm a fucking terrorist or something.
Right.
So it's kind of fucked me over my whole life.
Damn, man. Oh. Man, I'm so sorry that, you got caught up in some bullshit that wasn't even your fault. Now your life, changed for the worse. That's not right. So, like, ever since then and stuff, actually, what about your folks? How they feel about it, when they heard of the news?
They don't give a shit about me. I don't talk to them, they don't talk to me, and it's better off that way.
Gotcha. Great. Freak.
I mean, it also doesn't help that I've also got some mental problems too. I don't know if you're familiar with schizoaffective disorder or not.
I haven't heard of that.
It's basically a form of bipolarism that mimics the symptoms of schizophrenia. So, yeah, I hear voices and shit, and I see things that aren't there, and, you know, that also doesn't help me get a job either.
Gotcha, man.
And shit, I can't get on Social Security either. I tried 3 times now for my mental problems, and I got denied all 3 times because of just a stupid doctor. Just him saying that, oh no, it's all in his head. Of course it's all in my fucking head. Where else would it be at?
Mm-hmm.
That's why they call them mental problems.
Right. Yeah, man.
I mean, I've had a few jobs. I mean, I've worked at Burger King. I've worked at Albertsons. I've worked at Taco Bell, you know, but I can never hold down a job because at some point I end up having a mental breakdown and just completely losing it and quitting the job or getting fired.
Gotcha. And with that being said, how's your mental health right now?
Exactly the same. I mean, I'm still hearing stuff, I'm still seeing stuff, and I don't have any control over my emotions sometimes, and I mean, it's hard to explain, really. I mean, I stress out too easily over things. I have mental breakdowns all the time. I have anxiety all the time, like 24/7. I have little mini panic attacks all day long. I mean, even right now, I'm like having a panic attack. I can feel my fucking heart racing just from, you know, doing this right now.
Gotcha. And damn. So with that being said, how you deal with it? You know, how do you cope?
Drugs. That's really the only way I've found to deal with it. Like, I've tried going, you know, the straight route, talking to doctors, getting on medications, and none of the medications do shit. They don't work. They work for maybe a week, and then they don't work at all. And then the ones that are strong enough to actually do something, they're considered narcotics, so they don't want to prescribe them to me, even though they're prescribing them to everybody else. I don't understand why I can't get something that'll help me out. So I end up turning to drugs as a way to cope with all of my problems that I have to deal with. The fact that I'm broke, the fact that I hear voices, the fact that I can't just keep it together.
Yeah, man. And you know, I gotta ask this idiotic question, but
Go for it.
do you ever, like, you know, think like this is how your life circumstances would be?
No, I never imagined it would be like this. Whenever I was like 17, 18, I told myself by the time I was 30, I'd probably be married, probably have a house, probably have a job, probably have a picket fence, and the whole fucking 9 yards.
Yep.
That's exactly what I pictured whenever I was 17 and 18. And just the older I got, the more far away that dream got from me.
Got you. Freak. No. You know, it's not too late. You know.
I don't know, that's what everybody always tells me, but
You're still alive, you're still breathing, like, you know.
yeah, but I'm just an addict. And addicts, we don't function right in society.
Got you.
I mean, I'm a functioning addict as far as they go. I mean, whenever you first approached me, you probably didn't even guess that I was on drugs at all.
No.
Most people don't.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about that. Being a functional addict and stuff, you know, that's a rare thing. You know, there's not too many functional addicts.
No, there's not.
You know,
Trust me, I meet
even
them
this,
all the
like,
time,
the
and
sound
they're
of
not.
it, functional and addict, like, you know.
It sounds like an oxymoron.
Right.
I mean, I'm not in the streets sitting there screaming and yelling at voices. I mean, I'm hearing them, but I'm not in the streets screaming and yelling at them. I know to keep to myself. You know, I'm not out there hurting anybody with it. I'm not stealing from nobody. I'm not lying to nobody. You don't have to be a piece of shit just because you're doing drugs. That's just an excuse. People, they could do other things, but they choose to be a piece of shit just because that's the easier way for them to get their drugs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in it. I don't lie to people. I don't steal from people. I don't do none of that stuff. That's why I consider myself a functional addict. If I had a job right now, I could go to that job every single day, no problem. I mean, besides my mental problems. Like, I was working out in the fields for a long time, for like 2 years. I was doing, you know, paisa work out in the fields, you know, working with the vegetables, the fruits, all that stuff. And I was smoking dope the whole time. sleeping every single night, going to work every single day. That's what I consider to be a functional addict. Somebody that doesn't make their problems anyone else's problems.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. So, what do you think about, the homelessness, like, here in Bakersfield?
Oh my God, it's out of control. Like, the worst part about it, though, is that all of these people are choosing to be homeless. There are things that they can do to get off the streets, but they're not doing them because they don't want responsibility anymore. They've been out here for so long, they've gotten a taste of freedom. They don't want to live underneath someone else's, their parents' roofs. They don't want to go back to that. They don't want to go back to curfews and doing what mom and dad says, or going to work the 9 to 5 and doing what the manager says anymore. They don't have any responsibilities. Their only responsibility is keeping themselves high and happy. And that's it. So most of these people out here, I talk to them all the time. I have plenty of friends that are homeless. I have plenty of customers that are homeless. Every single fucking one of them chooses to be out here. If they had an opportunity to get off the streets, they wouldn't take it. Most of them do have an opportunity to get off the streets. The younger ones, they usually have a mom and dad somewhere. They have somebody that'll take them in. They'll hit me up and they'll be like, oh yeah, my brother's gonna send me some money right now. Okay, so you got a brother that gives a fuck about you, but you're out here? Why the fuck are you out here, and why are you using his money to buy drugs from me? Why don't you fucking use that money and get up off the streets and do something? They don't want responsibility. I can't say that I blame them. Nobody wants responsibility. I mean, the entire fucking world is fucked with this whole money is the source of all evil and shit. I mean, it'd be a lot better if we didn't have money in the in the system. Like, if we just were able to give everybody everything, like, everybody should have the same exact amount of stuff. Like, why the hell do we have to separate ourselves with clothes and, designer jeans and shit whenever there's more important things than that?
It's corruption, status, we're idolizing things that don't really have no value.
Yes.
But this is how the world is run. And yeah, it's just...
They're doing it all just to distract us so that we don't find out the truth about things. We don't find out the truth about what the world looks like, that we don't find out the truth of history. I mean, now they're trying to tell us that 300 years may have been fabricated and we might be living in 1700 and something. Like, they don't know what the hell's going on, but they do. They really do. They act like they don't, but they do. I mean, they proved that whenever they said, they went on live and saying, oh, there's really UFOs out there. Well, we've all known this all along.
Mm-hmm.
We see the videos, we see them coming down out of the sky, but now the government's telling us, and it's like, why the fuck didn't they just tell us that from the beginning? What else are they hiding?
Yeah. Free, do you believe in God?
That's a hard subject for me because I've done a lot of research and I'm starting to believe in the whole theory about the Anunnaki and everything. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not.
No.
Okay, the Anunnaki was an alien race that came down here and they basically created us. They used DNA from Homo erectus or something like that, and their own DNA, and then they made us. We were a slave race.
Mm-hmm.
We were meant to worship them and to do their bidding, and that's how we got created. So if they're really our creators, then what is all this shit about the Bible? And now, actually, if you take a look at the Bible is stories from other religions. Like, Ra is actually God, and no, Ra is...
What's Ra?
Ra is the sun god in Egyptian mythology.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I think he's supposed to be God, and then... Oh man, I can't remember. I think Thoth was supposed to be Jesus or something like that. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with all the names and everything, but you'll find out that the Bible has actually been compiled of other religions and that they've all said the same exact stories.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that Christians are right or wrong. It's just that the stories are all out there. They're all the same, but you got to put them together and figure out what really happened.
Gotcha.
And there's a bunch of fucking pieces missing in those puzzles. And the government's taking them from us. The Vatican's taking them from us. I mean, if we could get into the Vatican and just get a few of those files out of there, there would be so much information that we would be able to know. The government is just hiding everything from us, and the Vatican ain't helping.
Gotcha, man. So, Michael, moving forward, as of now, know, what's your move, man? What's like, you know?
Honestly, I dread that thought every single day.
Man, I'm waking up.
I don't see a way forward. I don't know. I don't want to do this in 10, 20 years, but I don't see any way forward. I don't see any way out of it. I don't see it ever changing. I just, you know, like they tell you in NA, it's jails, institutions of death, and I'm believing it's going to be death for me.
Man. Okay, man.
I'll be right back.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all good, man. So, you know, what's some of the struggles though that you face with like being out here on the streets? I know you talked about like the mental health, you know, the emotional health, you know, but like, you know, finding a place to sleep, you know, maybe waking up with your things stolen. That happens to a lot of homeless people. You know, how do you protect yourself at night?
Well, like I said, I'm on Section 8. I'm staying in a hotel that's been converted into low-income housing. Since I don't have any income, I don't have to pay any rent, luckily. But it's not exactly the best situation in the world. I'm sleeping inside of a hotel room. My entire life is inside of a hotel room. I mean, could you imagine just being inside your bedroom all day long?
Yeah.
Every day, just being inside your bedroom, and that's it. That's all the space that I have. Like, I don't have a backyard. I don't have a front yard. I don't have, you know, a separate room that I can go into whenever me and my girlfriend are fighting and be in that room while she's in this room so that I have my space and she has hers. Like, I'm basically one step away from being back out here again. Because if they ever find out what I'm up to, they're going to fucking cut my funding and I'm out here.
Gotcha, Michael.
And being out here, it's not easy. I mean, like you were saying, people are trying to find places to sleep. They're trying to figure out ways to sleep, you know, safely, because every time you fall asleep, your shit gets peeled.
Right.
Because none of these people out here realize that they need to help each other out. They're all stealing from each other. They're all lying to each other. They're all working each other instead of working with each other. And it sucks. I mean, I've had to develop ways whenever I was living out here in order to keep my shit on me. I mean, like, I used to take my money and my drugs and I used to put them in a giant pill bottle and then put that into my pocket, because if somebody's trying to rip that out of my pocket while I'm sleeping, that's just gonna wake me up.
Right.
I've got my backpack on the front of me instead of the back of me, you know, so that if anybody tries to get into it, they're gonna wake me up. And if I need to lay down, I'm laying down on top of my jacket, I'm laying down on top of my backpack, because somebody will come up and take my shit, period. They wait for you to run out of gas and finally just knock out, because, you know, whenever you're on the streets, you're trying to stay up as long as you can so people don't get you, but then it takes its toll on you, wears you out, and then you finally crash. And that's the moment everybody's waiting for out here, is for you to crash.
And how are you treated by the rest of society, you know, working class citizens?
It's different depending on the person. I mean, you can't really judge a group of people by, you know, any sort of standards. Like, I mean, I've seen people that are, you know, doing good, that are nice to me, and then I've seen people that are doing good that are just absolutely fucking rude to me, and I didn't even do anything.
Right. You know, you have any regrets?
Oh, yeah, I've got regrets. I regret the first time I ever tried fentanyl. I regret the first time I ever tried methamphetamines. I regret the first time I ever tried alcohol, cigarettes. I regret just so many decisions in my life, it's not even funny. And I used to think that I didn't have any regrets just because I've done it all and I've tried it all, and, you know, at least, hey, I've got experience. But the older I get, the more I realize that there are some things that I do regret.
Gotcha, man. Okay, Michael, that sums up the interview. And do you consent to this video to be posted?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Michael. You take care of yourself.
You too.